Hello everyone, good afternoon. We are here with another fun-filled day of science. Last week we began learning about capacity, and we learned that capacity is the amount of stuff that can fit in a container, right? So we are beginning our experiment. So with our experiment, we are going to float these 3 cups of 2, 3, and 4 centimeters. Sorry, dropped it in the water. We're going to float these 3 cups. Notice how they are, I feel like someone in a TV show. I was going to give you a specific name, but you're not going to get it anyway, so why bother and make myself feel old? But we're going to float these cups in water. Here's my clear container so you can watch them sink. And we are going to add passengers to them. And our passengers are going to be pennies. And as we add our passengers, we are going to find out how many passengers it takes to sink our ships. Okay, now in order to do this, we have to find out some very particular information. I'm going to talk to you as I get my towel straightened out here. It wasn't sitting very nicely. So as we put the pennies in our ships, we need to do this in a very particular manner. Okay, so I say this because if we just throw the pennies in there all willy-nilly, we might end up sinking our ships before they're actually full. And that's a problem because then we are not getting an accurate measure of our ship's capacity. And we want an accurate measure of our ship's capacity so that we can get accurate information, right? So we don't want to tip our cup too soon. So we can tip our cup one of 2 ways. We can do it by tipping our cup too forcefully, by throwing the pennies in. I'm going to tip this so you can see our cup. So I could tip our cup by throwing the pennies in there. Look, there's 2 pennies in there. Do you think I could get more than 2 pennies in this cup before it sinks? I think so. I have 2 pennies in there and it's floating. It's sitting there just fine. I'm sure our capacity is more than 2 pennies. So I think we have a problem, right? I think that if we were to do this in a more diligent way, in a more structured manner, we would have a better plan and we would be able to find a more accurate measure of our ship's capacity, right? Another way we could mess this up and sink our ship is if we ended up putting all of the pennies in one spot. Do you see? I don't know if you can see, but our cup is already starting to tip. So here's the cup. I have 1 penny in. It's starting to tip like that. If I put the penny in the same spot on top of the other penny, it's starting to tip more. So if I had another penny to that same spot, it's tipping more. And when that edge of the cup reaches the top of the water, that water is going to seep in and pull it underneath the water, which is what it did. So this time, that 4th penny is what brought our cup underneath the water. However, I still believe that our cup can hold more than 4 pennies. So when we conduct this experiment for real, we need to make sure we do it by setting the pennies in our cup in a way that helps them, or that keeps them nice and spread out, so that the weight is more evenly distributed, so that it doesn't tip, and that everything is spread out. Does that make sense? Can you see how the pennies fill the whole bottom of the cup and not just one spot? This is what it looked like when they were in the cup a moment ago. Okay, but if you have them all spread out, that weight is all over so that you can fit more in there, and it's more like it's all pushing down so that all of the edges go under the water at the same time, as opposed to that one spot. Okay. Another thing we need to pay attention to, now I've used this same cup the whole time with this experiment. This cup is a little bit damp. So see, right now I have 4 pennies in here and it's not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm still gonna add pennies. I've got 5 and 6. It's still good. I'm adding kind of 2 at a time. I'm placing them in there gently. So again, the force that I'm adding pennies in there isn't what's helping them to go under the water. And I'm setting them across from each other. So I'm going boom, 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 so that the weight is even. Okay, and I'm also doing it gently, kind of like you're walking on ice. So it's like feather light, so that, okay, so now it's under. Okay, so I think I had 8 pennies in there. However, when we do this, that last penny you add doesn't count, because that's the penny that tipped it over the edge. Does that make sense? So the last penny you add doesn't count because the capacity is how much it can hold. So that means how much it can hold without sinking. Okay, so one of these doesn't count. Also, each time you run this experiment, you need to make sure you're doing it with dry pennies, a dry boat, things like that. So I have to make up multiple sets of dry cups each time we do this. So this test isn't valid anyways because I wasn't doing it with dry pennies or a dry boat. So this boat wasn't sturdy. It might have been able to hold more pennies if it was dry. These pennies had more weight on them because they were wet. Things like that. All of those are things we need to take into consideration as we run this experiment because they can affect the outcome. Okay, so today, I'll switch this back up here, sorry. So today was just for getting down it was for fine-tuning the systems of being able to run this experiment. Okay? So today was the practice of figuring out how to do this experiment. Okay? My 2-centimeter cup is going to go in the garbage because it's all soggy. My pennies are going to sit out to dry. I'm going to put the lid back on my water. But everything else is good to go. And tomorrow we are going to actually run this experiment for real. And we are going to end up testing 1 cup a day for the rest of this week. So remember, we have 3 cups, so there will be 3 days of experiments. And again, we will run it twice to make sure it is accurate. Okay, so we'll see what we have time for, 2 or 3 times. I will prep for 3 times just to make sure we have time. So today, I am going to give you the option to try this at home. However, you need to make sure you have parent permission and supervision, and you follow all of the directions I just gave you. Okay? I got no water on the table. I want that to be known. However, when I've done this in class, I have had students drench the table. So I would put down towels on the table, like bath towels. I have a towel down. I knew what I was doing, and I knew I was in front of a computer, so I was very extra careful. This is a hand towel from the bathroom. Okay, I suggest if you do this at home, you put down a towel. Not paper towels, a towel. But again, parent permission, parent supervision. Be very careful. Use nothing that can break. Okay, do not cut anything. I cut paper cups, but also they were mine, and I said I could do it. Cut nothing mom, dad, or an adult in your house says you can't cut. Talk to an adult if you're doing it. Okay? If not, then you can, I will try to find, excuse me, I'm recording this before I do my research. I will try to find an example on YouTube for you. Otherwise, you can stay tuned for tomorrow. Okay? And I will open up a discussion for things you might think we also need to keep in mind for tomorrow. Okay? I adore you all. I will see you tomorrow. I am very excited to find out how many passengers our ships can hold. And we will figure out how many passengers our 2-centimeter cup can hold tomorrow. I will see you all then. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Bye.